our 50th video is here. So yeah, we made it to half century. So here's to a faster century, like many batters bowlers. And yeah, the joke is, yeah, they can loan somebody to India as well, right? और बस एक वो पांड्या है, वो पांड्या के बेसिस पे पूरा सब बैठे हुए हैं कि पांड्या खेलेगा, पांड्या
Me,
खेलेगा.
Adil Rashid is very key, right? I think in that bowling attack, he is the one guy whom oppositions will say that okay, we should not give more than one wicket to this guy, right? Because the other bowlers you can go after. If
Hmm.
Adil Rashid gets three or four, then the opposition is in real trouble. Hello, all, and welcome to a new video on the Third Man Musings. So, today is a very special video for us. And if you want to know the reason why, it's because today is our 50th video, right? And what a journey it's been. We started close to a year back, around October 2022. And at that point of time, we just started with an idea, right? That we wanted to discuss cricket thoughts about cricket, hear your thoughts and share our thoughts with you. And we were complete novices at that point of time. Even now we aren't like experts or something, but at least we have made some progress. So we'll start off the video on that note. And Sumit, how has your experience been? How did we start this off, and how has this journey been for you over the last 1 year and these 50 videos?
So yeah, that was an idea we just discussed randomly, and I think one weekend went out in figuring how we are going to do it, because both of us weren't the best in these things. So figuring out which medium to use for recording, which software to use for editing, the lack of editing skills at that point. I remember a lot of, and I remember then, yeah, if anybody goes back into history and sees our videos, we were just going through, we were uploading 3 videos in a day because we didn't have time and the World Cup was just starting. So we,
Right.
ironically, we started before the World Cup, T20 World Cup, and now again the World Cup is coming and our 50th video is here. So yeah, we made it to half century. So here's to a faster century, like normally the like Kohli hits a slow 50, but the 100 he raises. So
Yeah.
let's hope we reach 100 videos a bit faster. So
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of things learned along the way, especially in terms of
Yeah.
editing. And
Yeah.
yeah, we're still going to keep trying to innovate. It's not that easy to come up with new ideas with your job, because your job requires a lot of ideas as well. So let's hope we get some more creative juices flowing after these, like the 50th video. So we'll start. Uh, it's like auspicious, I guess. We start the 50th video with a preview, sorry, of the teams that are going to be involved in the World Cup, and that's something which we did the last time also. Funnily enough, right? Uh, so today we'll start with the favorites. I think there's no doubt about that, and it's not India, sadly. So let me be very honest with anyone who's watching this. So India will be, and I'll give a spoiler also, because India will be the last video that we'll preview, because we want to get over with the Australia series and see how things are, what are the last minute changes. Then we'll go do a very in-depth analysis of the Indian squad. So today we'll talk about the defending champions, England, and how they have revolutionized cricket. So Sujay, did you catch the latest series against New Zealand?
Yes, I did. I mean, obviously not the live action because both of us were caught up in our office work, but we did catch the highlights, right? Both of us. And England has been the story of the decade, right? We all remember the 2015 World Cup. They got knocked out in the first round itself. That too, Bangladesh knocked them out, right? And that at that point of time there were those murmurs turned into strong voices that England was playing outdated one day cricket, right?
Yeah.
They were far behind the rest of the teams in the world. And then obviously Ian Morgan and all these other guys in the England management decided that they will now play a brand of cricket that is so ultra aggressive that they'll almost try to get 350, 400 in every game, depending on irrespective of the
From
conditions, right? So that approach worked. They backed the talk with action on the field, and won the 2019 World Cup, won the 2022 T20 World Cup, and now has even revolutionized Test cricket with baseball, right? Now the England New Zealand series was interesting, right? I mean, the first match New Zealand won by 8 wickets. They chased 290 on a canter,
Easily.
Michelle, and then obviously the other 100 was from Devon Conway, and they won that game on a canter, right, by 8 wickets. So all of us thought, okay, here England is going to get a strong opposition from New Zealand, but then England truly showed why they are world champions and why they are innovators in ODI cricket right now, right? The next three games they won by 80 runs, 180 runs, and 100 runs. right? The gap was that huge, and with that, now they've made a statement, right? That they are indeed one of the favorites for the World Cup.
Yes, and a very, very strong squad, an all-round squad, and they are very clear in their approach as we break down the squad into different aspects. So we'll again go through the batters, the bowlers, the all-rounders, and keeper is honestly not so many. So we'll just cover that with batters. So and then we'll go over the perfect 11, which we think should work for them in terms of the balance and composition. So starting with the batting, I think just four pure batsmen, which is funny because no teams have a lot more, but England works differently. And out of those four, Ben Stokes is one who's choosing not to bowl. And I have a feeling if things get really bad, he will come and bowl also because he's that guy. So he's a clutch player for the team. So Malan, Root, Stokes, and Brooks. Brooks most likely he comes into the side last moment as expected. We were discussing how how is he being left out, and yeah, Roy unfortunately could not get fit for the New Zealand series, and Brooks scored too many runs. Meanwhile, I think he didn't score in the New Zealand series, but I think he did too much before that with his hundreds and T in the 100 tournament and everything. So uh, I think the batting is very good in terms of the solid batsmen are there. Malan Root will give you that solidity with good strike rate. Stokes is a clutch player, and that 180 was crazy. I mean, think about it, right? It was
Correct.
42nd, 43rd over. He could have got 200 very easily. In
Yeah.
fact, 30 to 40 if he wanted, but he was
Correct.
very in his zone that okay, I just want to hit out and break everybody. So not really nothing to I mean, yeah. You have any things on the batting? I mean, it's fairly straightforward, right?
Yeah, and it's pretty straightforward, and they have covered those bases, right? Now, we saw Malan play in that series, right? Even with orthodox cricket shots, he was getting runs against New Zealand. So they have covered that even if they lose early wickets, Malan and Root can both play the steady role. But one thing is, that can't always be taken for granted because Bolt sorted them out in this series with a new ball,
Mm.
especially Root, right, and Bairstow.
Yeah.
So they'll have to bank on both Malan and Root to play that role of nullifying the new ball up front. And in ODI cricket, the first 8 to 10 overs it does swing, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
think they'll have to give that respect. And Stokes and Brook obviously bring in that dynamic factor. So it's pretty sorted. It looks powerful indeed.
Yeah, and Root had an off series against New Zealand, but
Correct.
kudos to him that he said, "I want to play against Ireland." They have three ODIs still remaining before they come to India for the World Cup. So he's trying to find his form, but he's too much for class and quality player. And I think Indian pitches are made for him. I think he'll show
Hmm.
his true class in this World Cup. Keeper, I mean, Besto is a keeper, and he will be the backup keeper, but he'll be the opener as well. So good Sunrisers Hyderabad guy, right? So a lot of exposure to the IPL, and Butler is a legend. I mean, he got the World Cup within few months of captaincy, and now he's batting at five as a middle order batsman, not an opener, but his record is impeccable again. He's got 11 centuries from middle order, which is pretty immense. So keeper wise, again, not a lot of debate. As
Yeah,
good as
pretty
he is.
straightforward, right? I mean, Butler should be expected to be the keeper for the whole tournament. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I think next part is the all-rounders, which I think is the engine room of this team, which just has too many batters, bowlers, and yeah, the joke is yeah, they can loan somebody to India as well, right? और बस एक वो पांड्या है वो पांड्या के बेसिस पे पूरा सब बैठे हुए हैं कि पांड्या खेलेगा so they have so many Pandyas. I mean, batting was probably not that great, but bowling was I think everybody is equal to Pandya that way. So Liam Livingston is the new one who came around, and in New Zealand, he could show you the class in terms of his effectiveness. He scored some good runs from number seven. Bowls leg spin to right-handers, off spin to left-handers. So everything possible you want in a. He's the 4D player. I mean, he's the actual 4D player.
Great
Not,
fielder also, right?
yeah, yeah. Hence the
Yeah.
4D, right? 3D तो वैसे
Yeah.
3D तो हमारा वो था तो 4D लिविंगस्टन लेके आ गए. So like proper वो. Next one is Moeen Ali. I think one of the people who is very underrated but very appreciated in Chennai Super Kings. So quality lower order batsman. Between Karan and Vokes, do you think like they'll prefer one of them or they'll play both?
I have a feeling it will be tough to play both, right? Because if you play Ali at, I mean, you play Livingston at six, Ali at seven, and then you will definitely have Wood and Rashid, right? Because both are strike bowlers, so that leaves two more spots. And in that, I have a feeling to bring in that left arm variety with the new ball, they'll have top league most probably. So
Yeah, yeah.
that leaves only one spot. So I have a feeling it will be either Karan or Vokes, and I have a feeling they'll start with Karan. If he doesn't pan out after a few games, then Vokes
Mm.
might come in. That's what I feel. Or if Topley has a slightly off
Off,
tournament in
off.
the start, then replace Vokes with, I mean, replace Topley with Vokes. That may be the other way to go. Yeah.
So that's four all rounders, and there's one more called David Willey. Again, one of those journeyman cricketers playing since ages. And yeah, IPL में इतना नहीं किया है. That's why I think he's not that popular amongst Indian fans. But a very good utility player. New
Hmm.
ball, say he'll swing it around, lower order batsman. So I think the depth is something which will be one of the weak points in this tournament. But
Hmm.
five all rounders, and out of which two are like three are certain to play. It's about how they want to use the other two around based on the conditions.
Correct.
Coming to the bowling, it's Wood, Rashid, Atkinson, and Topley. So again, you who would be your top two bowlers? Because I see two, maximum three playing out of these four.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, Wood and Rashid for sure. I think Atkinson, I'm not sure. How will they fit him in, right? Or the other alternative is you don't play Wood in the non-critical games, right? You
Yeah,
keep Wood for India,
top four.
Australia, South Africa, New Zealand, right? These teams. But the slightly weaker teams, let's say Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Netherlands, maybe against them you may try Atkinson, because even though he's not an exact like-to-like replacement, but Atkinson bowls around the 140 mark, and from what we saw in this recent series, he gets the ball to climb off a length also, right? So I think he might come in at some point when Wood needs a rest in between. But otherwise, Wood and Rashid should be clear
Mm.
starters.
Clear starters. And yeah, Topley is the third one who,
Correct.
because of his height and left armness, I mean, that is where I think he should be playing ahead of Vokes. So yeah, as you said, we'll go with the playing 11. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's even I agree with that, barring his some injury. And again, one thing which this squad I can see is they have not kept backups for batsmen because they're very sorted on that account, and they've
Hmm.
kept a lot of backups for the bowlers because they
Bowlers.
know playing 9 matches in India is going to be tough. So they have
Yeah.
kept that option of rotating the bowlers around. And yeah, with Wood's fitness issues, Atkinson is like for like. There's Topley, Vokes, and Karan. They can rotate those three around. Rashid will obviously play in every match, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, very well balanced squad everywhere. And they're gung ho. And the fact is, their bowling might not be the most threatening. It is
Hmm.
a decent bowling attack. I still won't say it's like one of the most attacking, wicket taking bowling attacks. But
Correct.
even with this lineup, they bat till 9-10. We have to, I mean, Wood is a good slogger. Rashid is a good
Correct.
batter. So
Most probably Rashid will bat at 11, I
11.
think, by the looks of it.
Yeah. So
And
if
even he is a handy batter.
he's a
Yeah.
very, yeah, he got
Yeah.
some 50s, I think.
Yeah.
So
In India, I
top
think he would have batted at 8 probably.
India also. He would be the all he would be the all rounder, I think, India में तो. So Topley if he plays तो ठीक है. Topley or Atkinson they play वो 11 पे आ जाएंगे. But other than that, I think I can see 10 people who can bat in this team. So they will go hell for leather. Every match they'll aim for 350 unless the pitch is really bad. And that's going to be the mantra, I think, this tournament. So coming to the playing 11 prospectively, and I think this is going to be very similar to what they played against New Zealand. So top three, so Besto, Malan, and Root. So you think any changes here, or I think
Ideally, they should start off with these three, right? The only change I see is now Bairstow. I mean, we know he's a great player, and that too with baseball in Test cricket, he's been the number one batsman, right? Who's been
hmm,
winning games. But in this New Zealand series, he played 3 games, got a duck in one match, five in the other match, 13 in the other match. So 13 was his highest in the 3 games.
hmm,
If he fails against the new ball, then maybe Brook might come in. But I'm sure they'll back him at least for the first 5, 6 games.
5, 6
For
games.
sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm. And I think people keep questioning poor Malan, but I was checking his record. So 1,000 runs, 61 average. I mean,
What
too
more
much.
can you do, right?
Yeah. So and good strike rate also. I think वो पंगा हो गया Punjab 11 took him. So people started imagining that he sucks. So he's a very good player, and he right now this entire debate was around Brook and Malan, right? When
Hmm.
Malan wasn't sorry, when Brook wasn't picked
Correct.
up. So he proved he thrashed New Zealand all over the park, and he in
Correct.
fact took Roy's spot because he became such a good opener, and a left-handed opener is anyways a boon, right? So you can't doubt his credentials. And Root is their Kohli for all intents and purposes. You
Yeah.
cannot doubt him. And he's off form, I know, but he's going to be that one player who's going to always be around. He's a very handy off spinner. Let's not forget that. He's very
That
handy
that
on the
additional
gap.
skill set is also there. Yeah.
So top three is pretty good. Then comes their
Hmm.
engine room from 4 to 7. So f- four would be
Stokes.
Stokes, huh?
Stokes. Yeah.
Acha, sorry, the clutch
Yeah.
player. Sorry. So,
Yeah.
and he's he's slotted for four. I mean, I think the last World Cup he was 5 or 6.
He was
So
five,
this
yeah.
time,
He played
yeah.
at five.
So इस बार उसको clearly बोला है कि you are four, and that's a very dangerous player at four. I mean, the thing is he's going to get out also at times when the team needs him to bat a bit sensibly. He'll play a reckless shot and get out, but I think he's just reserved for semis and finals because that's when this guy wakes up from his slumber. So four pay Stokes is a very crazy option because the score is going to move. I mean, this is a number four who's not an accumulator, he's a basher. So I think that's going to go 50-50. But yeah, with his reputation and skill set, he'll do something. Butler, Livingston, and Moyen, 5, 6, 7. So I think isn't that the strongest lower order as per you, or do you find anything
I
different?
mean, it's very intimidating, right? I mean, if you see from 4 to 7, everybody can go bang bang from ball one. It's not like they need to play 20, 30 balls, get some
Yes.
momentum going, and then hit, right? So that's scary. I mean, if you set them a target and they're chasing, you're never quite comfortable until they're all out, right? So that is scary for me. And the main part is, I think Butler. That too, he's played a lot of IPL in India, right? And he's got
Yeah, yeah.
major success opening. So that I'm, if I, as an Indian fan, I am worried that he can really change the game in the middle order, and Livingston as well. I mean, very intimidating,
Mm.
like 4 to 7 at least. Yeah.
And Moyen, Butler, Livingston, even again IPL stars in their respective teams, and they play spin well. That's something underrated, and they will play a lot of spin in India in those time. Those overs they will come in. So perfect batsman for those situations. And then comes, so these are the top seven. Now that eight for which we keep talking about the Indian team, they have so many people they can fill at eight. Somebody who bats and bowls and who would play because he's a bowler, not because he can bat. So here is where I think we can leave eight for a moment. So if you
Hmm.
go from bottom, right? So 11 would be your Wood and 10 would be your Rashid. And Wood gets rotated with Atkinson based on fitness and team strength, whatever. So you're left
Right.
with 8 and 9. I think that's where the major thing they're going to discuss who to play. It's going to be Karan, Vokes, and Topley. These three, out of these three, two will come. And I think Sam Curran for me would be a sure shot because he was
Hmm.
player of the tournament in the last World Cup and he discovered the death bowling all of a sudden. So he is definitely coming as per me with his batting and his bowling. So number nine is where I think the question will come now that do you go for a pure bowler like Topley or do you go for a bowler like Vokes who will bat also? So what do you think is a
So,
better option?
I mean, Vokes, I mean, to his credit, is a good bowler, but again, he doesn't bring in the death bowling aspect, right? And where Topley is very good is up front, he gets the ball to swing. Plus, he's that left armer who gets the ball to curve in also and go out also. So he has that skill set. Plus, he's decent at the death also. So I feel they will start with the Topley, and then I mean, Vokes will come at some point. Let's be honest,
That's
he'll
true.
come at some point, but we'll have to see who will, maybe not perform in the initial games for Vokes to come in. That is the feeling that at least I have. Yeah.
Mm. Topley is 6'7", so that
Mm.
frame is huge. So it's going to be tough for him to play 9 matches, but definitely something what Jansen also does, getting that bounce of a decent length where people are not expecting it to bounce so high because of the follow through that he has. I think
Correct.
that makes him a very tricky customer to have, and your beloved RCB only bought him for that reason.
And he got injured in the first game.
Was while fielding, not
Yeah.
while bowling, he dove.
Yeah. And
So
I was at the stadium when I saw him dive, and I was like, "Gai ben's funny man." So,
yeah, so 6'7" guy should not dive,
yeah.
right? That's like there was this bowler, right? Mohammad Irfan, Pakistan ka.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Seven foot one. Yeah, seven
हाँ
foot
वो
one.
भी
Yeah.
dive नहीं करता ना ये such people are not supposed to dive. It's like
Yeah.
Khali, I don't know, Khali used to like, yeah, wrestle, but he could dive, but yeah, it's not meant for those structures, so you will get injured if you do that. So they will wrap them in cotton wool, wood, and
Correct.
Topley, and play,
Yeah.
the 9 matches. I don't see any challenges for this team coming into the top four. I'll be honest about it. Do you
Yeah.
see anything
I mean, that will be the shock of the tournament if they don't make it to the semis, right?
with this team? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think the first game will have an impact. I think whenever it's a World Cup opener, that first game, winning that first game brings a lot of positivity to the team. So that will be interesting. If they win that game against New Zealand, then that motor will get running up and running on the way. The interesting part is the game in against India in Lucknow, right? that will
Mm.
probably be a turning track. So that we'll have to see how
So,
they cope there.
अरे इंडिया के batsmen also don't play spin series. I think that's something we need to start understanding. So
Hmm.
अभी पूरी hype हो रही है ना, जडेजा,
Correct.
अश्विन, कुलदीप सब खेलेंगे. And I was like, हमारे बैट्समैन नहीं खेल पाएंगे तो फिर अय्यर के
Hmm.
भरोसे बैठ जाओगे ना. अय्यर is right now still not there, right?
Correct.
तो
Hmm.
it's very catch 22. So let's see where
I
it
have a
goes.
question. I mean, see, last time they didn't have as much pressure, right? They played with a
हाँ.
lot of fun. This time they're defending champions, right? So do you think that is something that will bring some pressure, or you feel this team is like they'll still go and play that carefree sort of game?
Hmm. So they will definitely play that cafe game for these 9 games because
Hmm.
they will make it to the top four, right? I think after
Hmm.
that it's 2 games once you in the
Correct.
semis and the final. I think that's when the pressure will come, and that's where I said the one weakness in this team I see is
Hmm.
the bowling in terms of having pure attacking bowlers, right? Who can take a lot of wickets and scare the opposition. Right? There's no scary. Wood is scary, I'll give you
Hmm.
that, but beyond batting, there's no scary bowler. It's all about finding your spots and waiting for the right ball, and they can get runs. Their scary part is the batting.
Correct.
So for them to lose, I think it would be a very typical situation where the opposition bats first, gets around 300, pitch is slightly slow and turning, and then the batters come under pressure. I think that's the way to beat this team.
Hmm.
Otherwise, yeah, you let them bat first, but the pitch has to be turning. I think that's the major thing. And yeah, I think this is a better format, right? Let them bat first, dry pitch, get the ball turning, and रात को due आ ही जाएगी. And then the bowling is not that effective. So I think that might be the way forward.
Yeah.
They will feel the pressure come the semis or final. That's normal for any team, and that's why Ben Stokes comes in, right?
Ben
So
Stokes
oh,
comes in. Yeah.
convenient, eh? And I think Pandya will be looking at this because there is rumor that Pandya will retire from ODIs after this,
Oh,
and
is
he'll
it?
keep going.
Okay.
Yeah, अरे
Okay.
कहाँ कर पाता है बेचारा अभी वो इतना bowling कर रहा है 150 पे. I don't think he'll last after that. So he'll play maybe only the big series.
Hmm.
He'll be on that periphery, and then T20 के बाद I think World Cup to next 2027, right?
Yeah.
तब
South Africa. Yeah.
and we won't have an all-rounder then also. I think knowing our luck. So they will say, "Acha, I think खेलो." I think he'll do a Stokes that time. So Stokes played this very smartly.
Hmm.
Retired पता नहीं कब से हुआ है ODIs में. Now he knew, and you cannot grudge Stokes coming into this side. And then he proved it with the 180. कि भाई, if there was any doubt, he proved it. So you see any other weakness? How this team can be fall? Like,
Again, I mean, it's difficult to extrapolate this just seeing at the England New Zealand series, right? But again, if there is a very good bowling attack against them, the new ball bowling attack, there could be chinks, right? If you get two or three quick wickets up front with the moving ball, then you never know, right? That could be one, or spin is the other one, right?
actually,
But again, they are quality players of both pace and spin, so you can't exactly rule that out. But I think it's better to put them under pressure with the ball. I mean, with them bowling, right? Because once they set a target also, once you have a grip on their bowling, you can even go after their bowling. So there are scenarios they would actually prefer playing the semi-final in Wankhede, I think, rather than Kolkata, right? Kolkata, they can get caught on a tacky surface, whereas Wankhede, they can just
hmm,
outmuscle the opposition. So
definitely.
they would prefer a semi in Wankhede.
Carrying on from your point, it just struck me that when you said it, wickets, I mean, anyways, it's a cliche that you wickets win you matches, don't stop the runs. But in their case, if I think about it, Malan and Root are the, circuit breakers. They will stop the
Correct.
flow or the bleeding. But after that, with the Stokes, Butler, and all, these guys are not very good at, defending. So if it
Hmm.
becomes a tricky chase of 200 and they become 20 for 3, this
Hmm.
team can actually be in trouble because they don't know how to graft and, weather the
Correct.
storm.
Correct.
I think they're always going to counter attack. Every game is going to
Correct.
be counter attack. So they might get caught in that if
Correct.
someday they have a bad day and everybody has
Yeah.
a bad day. So I think
Correct.
that is one way of
It would have been interesting to see how they would have performed against Sri Lanka in that Colombo game, right? Where the ball was really turning. Sri Lanka got 4 wickets in that game, the
India.
Asia Cup game. I
Uh-huh.
wonder how England would have chased 215 on that
Yeah.
track.
So
Yeah.
I think that's a good example because if you remember
Correct.
the Pakistan T20 final, they were
Hmm.
really, and that chase again was very small. I think 140 or
130 or 140. Yeah, they were chasing
so
a small
उनकी
target.
लग गए थे. They were not उस दिन भी spin हो रही थी and Pakistan bowlers also bowled very well. It was
Correct.
Stokes and Stokes was very lucky to be alive that day. I think he could have nicked it so many times. He was just there and he just settled in. And then Babar's bad captaincy helped England. I will be honest about it. But that is the day I could see England under pressure and they
Hmm.
could have ruined that match very easily. but they escaped. So I think that is the formula for them. You need to put them under pressure, and then once they start second guessing themselves whether to counter attack or whether they should graft and defend,
Hmm.
I think that's when you can catch them because they don't know how
Correct.
to graft.
Correct.
So yeah, I really see that as a hope.
For me, Adil Rashid is very key, right? I think in that bowling attack, he is the one guy whom oppositions will say that okay, we should not give more than one wicket to this guy, right? Because the other bowlers you can go after. If
Hmm.
Adil Rashid gets three or four, then the opposition is in real trouble, and he'll play all games, right? He'll
Yeah,
play
yeah,
all
has
games.
to.
His brand of leg spin also is very attacking. He's not a defensive leg spinner, right? You always see him go for
Hmm.
wickets. So I feel Adil Rashid has to have a good tournament for England to
Yeah.
go all the way. Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much it. I think yeah, we covered all points. I think yeah, definitely people can comment if we have missed something. But all in all, yeah, are dead on certainty for top four. And
Mm.
if they aren't, then we are definitely seeing a new team in the top four. Somebody we didn't expect to come
Yeah.
there. So should be interesting to follow this team. They are fun. I mean, that's one thing I admire about them. You watch England, only team which can make 50 over interesting is England, I think, because they'll play it as two T20s and one T10 in their head. They'll keep patching the ball. They're fun to watch, and credit to them to just revolutionize from that 2015 disaster to where they
Yeah.
are today. So yeah, kudos to them.
Yeah, kudos to them. And on that note, so that wraps up our first preview video for the World Cup. This was England's preview. So please do let us know your thoughts. Any points we missed? What points from our video did you like? What do you feel are their chances? Do you feel there could be a surprise? They could get knocked out, or do you feel that they'll go hands down and win the World Cup easily? So let us know your thoughts. Please do like, share, comment, and subscribe, and your love and views mean a lot to us. So, on that note, look forward to our next preview video. We'll have another interesting team coming up. And till then, take care, stay safe. Bye bye.